Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time, and that whenever and wherever you happen to be on this pale blue dot we call planet Earth, I hope that you are able to discern and quantify and create your high vibrational goals. Wow, that's kind of a mouthful, right? I did find another goal that we can work towards this week. Your high vibrational goals, your shift in frequency. How do you do that? What will be your goals this week to raise your vibration? We are physically in the fifth dimension. I have repeatedly, for the past year and a half at least, mentioned what the frequency is in the Schumann Resonance, which is pretty much the heartbeat of the earth. And for 50 years, it was 7 hertz frequency, 7.83 to be precise. But it is more often than not been in the hundreds, sometimes as high as 700 hertz frequency, and the fifth dimension starts at 40 hertz frequency. So I've kind of mentioned this multiple times, hundreds of times, as a matter of fact. Now, disclosurenews.it, the one that everyone goes to because it's pretty, it's blue and it's blue and green, and yeah, those are my favorite colors too. And I don't blame people for wanting to go through those, that website. That website is really beautiful. I love the way it's set up. Heart Mouth is confusing and not as pretty, but Heart Mouth is the meat of the meat and potatoes of this whole Schumann Resonance thing, because they have 6 cities that they list. And I've told you guys over and over and over again these numbers, and more often than not, most cities in the world are indeed above that 40 hertz frequency mark. So we are physically in the fifth dimension. My higher guidance said it last year. Many channelings I've done from many different sources, they all say the same thing. We're in the fifth dimension. Well, why don't we feel like it? Well, we do feel a little bit better and different. Stranger for sure. I know I feel stranger. My body feels a lot less dense. I have days that I don't even feel my body like at all. And I have days where I feel like I'm 20 feet tall, which makes no sense. And I've had days where time goes super slow. Like an hour feels like 3 damn days. And then I've had days where a whole day goes by in the blink of an eye. Feels like 20 minutes. Like literally, this did not feel like an hour and the whole day's gone already. Have you had days like that? I know I have. I've asked God today, please stabilize my time. Because a few weeks ago, I was not having so much fun doing my university classes, and I said, God, please speed up Monday through Friday, but make Saturday and Sunday really slow. And so that request was heard, and it was not denied. In fact, my request was approved. And the past 3 weeks have gone by really strangely. It honestly feels like Monday through Friday is like a blink of an eye. 5 days are going by like 2 days, tops. 2 fast days. And Saturday and Sunday, I asked God last weekend, can you just please let this weekend go by like 3 months? And it didn't quite feel like 3 months, but it did feel like 3 or 4 days crammed into 2 days. So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the universe is responding to our words and our emotions and our requests quite a bit more than 2 or 3 years ago. What do you guys feel about that? Do you think that's possibly true? I think it's true. And I also know that the more we raise our vibration, our personal frequencies, the faster we're going to be able to manifest everything we want in our world. And the faster we're going to move up into the 5th dimension, deeper and deeper, where life is going to feel better and lighter and more free. We're going to feel more compassion, more love. There's going to be a time in which we're going to wonder why we ever complained. What was wrong with us back then? That was weird. Like a fog was lifted off our brains. We had no reason to really complain. We didn't have any reason. Like, we're not going to remember the reason. We're going to feel so strange about looking back at our past. Like, why were we ever negative? Why did we ever doubt ourselves? Why did we ever judge ourselves and others? Why did we ever feel? Why did we ever feel that life was hard? What made it so damn difficult? We're going to come to a point in our lives, in our lifetimes right now, in the 5th dimension, where we're going to go, what? That's weird. Why on earth did any of that negative stuff ever happen? Why did we have wars? Why did we disagree with each other? Why did we ever stop loving each other? These are the questions that you're going to arrive at some point. And then you're going to get to a point where none of it matters. Let the past be the past, because we're in the present, and that is the biggest gift of this life. Present gift. So, what are your high vibrational goals? What are you going to do to raise your vibration? Now, some people use crystals. Some people arrange them in beautiful patterns and make crystal grids. And some people, like Jude DeKoff, my near twin flame, the host of the Starseed Perspective, he has actually figured out a way. In fact, you could go listen to those episodes he did last year on how to create a crystalline grid, made from little crystals, minerals, that actually create real, true, tangible magic with tangible magical results in your outer world, your outer life. He was sinking deeper and deeper into debt, and he was like, you know what? Screw that. And he went and got a bunch of crystals, and he started doing this magic, and he just started to remember who he was from Atlantis, and all the memories came flooding back, and he did a crystal grid, and all of a sudden, for a while, all of the money stuff started flowing. He was able to pay off all of his credit cards. He got a raise. All these wonderful things happened. And then, the persecution that is part of his life theme happened again. And here's the cat. Another country heard from. But hello, Ravenspell. Hello. But then he had another big upsurge of the money flowing in. And it's all due to working with the crystal and grids. So, for example, working with the fairies, working with the crystals would be what he has done to raise his own personal frequency. But maybe you have a whole nother perspective, which is good. Everybody has a unique perspective. And for me, how do I raise my vibration? Well, I'll tell you. Well, having my little baby kitty, she is adorable, beyond adorbs, and just playing with her and cuddling with her. And I wore a sweatshirt that zips up in the front today, and I shoved her in my sweatsuit, my sweatshirt, my hoodie, and I zipped her up inside there, and she just purred, and we cuddled, and that, I know it raised my vibration. It was amazing. Loving animals and looking into their eyes and just having that pure love moment. And you could do this with babies. Oh my gosh, babies, they're born pure. They have such a pure heart, and they're just so open, and they're so close to heaven and so close to their God self that staring into the eyes of a newborn baby, there's nothing more incredible than that. As soon as they can see you back, some newborns don't have the ability to focus their eyes, but when they do, there's nothing more intense than those moments where you just are like, wow, that innocence that we had before all the crap was heaped on us. You're this, you're that. You can't do that. You can't do this. All the crap. That's not real. Don't believe in that. You're making that up. That was just a dream. All the bullshit that the adults in your life tell you. I didn't tell my kids any of this stuff. I allowed them to be as open as they wanted to be, and they shut themselves down in some ways. It was very strange. It was really strange to watch. Like, after a while, well, magic isn't real, Mom. I think you're crazy. Witches aren't real, Mom. I think you're crazy. And then it was just a dream, Mom. That's not really real. That wasn't a real vision. They're the ones that shut me down. Past lives, I don't know if that's real. I don't know if I believe in any of that. I just want to believe in the here and now. And they both had their denial phase. It was very strange. They had the self-denial phase. But what happened after that is they both decided we are magical beings and we do have power. And they both got into our hereditary witchcraft energy. And they're both creating the life of their dreams right now with that. My son wants to help everybody feel so comfortable and so loved by eating his food. So he wants to be a chef. My oldest is becoming a lawyer so that she could be a civil rights lawyer and help people. Now that she knows Spanish, I'm sure it won't be very long before she decides to go to the border and help all the children that were separated from their parents and held by ICE illegally. I am certain that might be on her agenda. I'm not going to tell her because, I'm going to let her come to her own conclusion. But I had that insight today. I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. But they're both using magic to help supplement their world, their life. And I told them, look, you have to have some kind of a magical part of your life where you feel like there's so much more. It makes your life richer to believe in fairies and angels and work with the energy of the earth. It brings literally another dimension to your existence here. Focusing on the humdrum and the mundane will only take you so far. And after a while, you're going to be really bored with life. That's what I told them. They're like, why do you believe in that stuff, Mom? Why? Because I want to live and lead a magical existence. I want to have a life that I can look back on and feel like my life was incredible. And I was working with aliens and fairies and dragons and jinn. And I was surrounded by beings and I feel them, I know they're real. Sometimes they appear on my recordings. But I wanted to acknowledge the existence of all the interdimensionals. And that's led me to the show. And I feel like this is a huge part of my life purpose. And I'm doing it finally. 50 years in, I started the show. Okay. There you go, finally. But that's what I do to raise my vibration is I play with my cat and I interact with the multidimensionals that come my way. I work my magic every single day, starting with my first cup of coffee in the morning where I ask God and Goddess to bless my coffee. I even taught my cat how to bless my coffee, and she loves to bless my coffee by putting her paw on my cup, on the surface of my coffee, washing her paw in my coffee. I'm like, why are you doing that? You don't even drink coffee. She'll like smell it, she'll put her paw in, and then she'll like smell it and then kind of shake her paw off like, ew, what are you drinking that for? I'm like, well, hell, I don't know now that your paw's been in it. Why am I drinking it? But what do I do to raise my vibration? What are the other things that I do? Besides all the wild, paranormal, supernatural stuff that's pretty much going on in my life on a regular basis. You know, especially the ETs, the abductions. I had one a few days ago again. What do I do to raise my vibration? I meditate. I cleanse my aura. I do active exercises to open, like I expand my chakras and I see if there's any debris and I cleanse each chakra. And then I go to the center of the earth and I pull from the deep, ginormous crystals in the center of Mother Earth, and I pull that energy up through my body, put it all through my 12 chakras, my 7 in my body and the 5 outside. And it's like a giant fountain, giant white light shooting everywhere. It's pretty cool. I do that to raise my vibration. And what else? What are the other things? What are the non-weird things? The non-woo-woo things. I love, honestly, listening to Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks. I listen to Jason Mraz, India Ari. Sometimes Erykah Badu, and sometimes it's just down and dirty with CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Sometimes it's Elton John. Once in a great while, it's Michael Jackson, and who always puts me in a wonderful mood is listening to Johnny Depp sing David Bowie's song that they did on their tour last year, back when the world was still normal, Hollywood Vampires. I listen to a lot of different bands, you know. Some of them aren't that great. Some of them are okay, that just kind of make me happy to listen to once in a great while, like Dinosaur Eyelids. No one's ever heard of them, but they're amazing. There's another one I just started listening to, Lemon something. Anyway, that's what I do. I listen to music. You know, Tin Man by America, Ventura Highway by America, Horse with No Name by America, anything by America. Well, not the 80s albums. I don't know what happened to them then. Maybe they got sober. I mean, go back to the drugs, guys. Your music was incredible in the 70s. Oh my God. I love listening to 60s and 70s music, the hippie music, the hippies. Soul music, California Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas. Any of that classic rock that intense acid rock, psychedelic rock. Oh man, Star Spangled Banner by Jimi Hendrix. It gives me the chills thinking about it. And it raises my vibration. And when I sing to the songs and I dance to the songs and I put it on pretty high and I sing and dance around my house while cleaning or now playing with the cat. My kids and I used to sing together. My oldest and I, we sang a lot of Green Day. I love Green Day. We sang a lot of music together, and we would just bust out. She would pull out the guitar and start playing, and then we would sing together. I'm not saying I'm a good singer, not at all. Probably I'm off key. I don't even know. I think I'm doing really well, and then I hear myself later on recordings like, damn, that was terrible, actually. But at least I admit it. Somebody I know just sent me a couple songs he recently recorded, and whoo, his falsetto is really off key. And I talked to him about his range, and he's like, my range is perfect. I'm like, what can I say to that? It's not. It's shit. Sorry, it's shit. But I can't say that to him. I'm just like, all right, whatever. We'll see how many people have the balls to stand up to this guy and say, no, you got to improve your range. I don't know what the problem is. I can't know in myself what the problem is, other than my range is extremely limited. I know it is. Maybe because of asthma. I don't know. Eventually, I'm going to start taking singing lessons, and then I will be better. But I'm already better than I was, but I know lots of room for improvement there. But those are things that you can do to raise your vibration, though. Singing, dancing, even just listening to music, exercising, going outside, breathing in nature, unless you live in, a place where there's a lot of fires or pollution, and you can't take your mask off in public around a lot of other people right now. I'm definitely not an anti-masker. You could tell the anti-maskers, they're narcissists and they're sociopaths, and they're used to using their face to get what they want in life. It's really weird. And there's a lot of spiritual narcissists that are out there, acting like all you need to do is just rise above it. Sorry, if you've had a sniffle or a sneeze or any kind of cold or flu in the past 5 years, even in the past year or two, you haven't risen above any of that shit yet. Sorry. So wear the mask until you can, manipulate the matter around you and make certain that you can't get sick. But a lot of people are like, I just rise above it. Well, we'll see. Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. In the meantime, if you wear a mask, you're going to be protecting those around you. Because, with the virus, the way it is, a lot of people are like, well, I just build up my immune system. I'm sorry, but the problem with this virus is that it uses your own immune system against you. So the stronger your immune system is, the worse the virus will be for you. Because that's the way this virus works. It's freaking weird. Man-made. That's some crap right there, man. Whew. In fact, the only way to get rid of this virus is to take prednisone, from what I understand. The whole Regeneron thing, obviously, but nobody has a team of 60 doctors and an airlift to the nearest hospital and a helicopter. No one has what the president has at their disposal, but, I've talked to a few people and they're like, yeah, I went on prednisone because I was having a hard time breathing. What prednisone does is it pretty much knocks out your immune system, and then the virus kind of peters out during those 2 weeks while you're on the medicine. So, and that's what's saving people's lives, which is weird. But no one's talking about it really, just people I've spoken to directly, personally. My friend Melvina, who was in the hospital, she only has one lung. She's in the hospital not because of coronavirus, because of the fires and breathing all that in. I'm pretty sure she went on prednisone because it when it knocks out your immune system, it lowers the ability, it lowers your immune system response is what it does. And what it does is it takes out the inflammation and the phlegm and the mucus and the junk that happens as a result of having a strong immune system. You know, which is sad, is scary for her because she only has one lung, and your two lungs, you know, pulling in oxygen, that's a part of that, you know, immune system. But anyway, so that's why I'm saying just always wear the mask, you know. I feel like it's kind of, it kind of lowers other people's vibration if you walk out without a mask and you act like you don't give a crap and you start talking crap about, oh, I'm not going to wear a mask. Hey, I'm not going to be muzzled by the government, you know. I literally heard someone say the word muzzle the other day on a YouTube video. I was just like, what the hell? They won't muzzle me. And it was like somebody who's spiritual, supposedly, in the spiritual community. And I was like, what the hell? Like, it's not... You know, they're not doing it to see if they can control us. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the wrong way of thinking. The best way of thinking is, well, they're giving the suggestions. It's legal in some places. It's, you know, open to interpretation in others. But you know what? If you wear a mask and other people look at you wearing a mask, they're like, oh, you actually care about people. You actually give a shit about my health, even if you don't know me. And that raises people's vibration. It's kind of weird. You know, it's when I see people not wearing a mask, that lowers my vibration. I feel like, well, there's a narcissist or a sociopath or somebody who just doesn't give a fuck about their fellow man. Women, children, elderly, dogs, cats, other beings. You know, because if they have the virus and they don't know, I mean, it incubates in your system for a while before you have any symptoms at all. And you could just be out there killing thousands of people without a mask. Makes you look like a douchebag, honestly, anymore, to walk out without a mask. You just look like an asshole at this point. And I'm like laughing because it's like, people in the spiritual community, they're like, oh, well, they're trying to control us with their whatever. Yeah, well... It's called science. It's germ theory. It's a real thing. You know, but what's not, what's also a real thing is the narcissism, the spiritual narcissism that I've been witnessing. And it's killing me, like making me laugh hysterically, because it's like, wow, that's a funny thing. It was hard to tell if they were a narcissist or not. And now this is a new challenge, and it's like, wow. Yeah, all right, there it is. There it is. Yep. Excuse me, sir. Your narcissism is showing. Excuse me, ma'am. I think that's your your sociopath nature. That's a little showing there. Might want to check that. Check it, you know. It is what it is. A lot of people are freaking out over it. We're less than 2 weeks away from the elections in the United States. We will see. We're on the verge with war. War looming with China. China's getting ready to prepare for war. And one thing that's really hawking me off lately is on the coast of Ecuador, out in the Galapagos, Chinese fishing vessels have gotten very close to our protected waters here. And Ecuador has gotten on alert. Well, we are an ally to the United States, and that's making me a little nervous. Another thing that's making me nervous is that tomorrow there's going to be a massive protest in Quito and throughout all the cities in Ecuador. They just put us back on curfew. They had taken it off for about a month, and now we're back on curfew because more cases of coronavirus have risen. And we have done a very good job at containing it compared to our neighbors here in South America. But tomorrow, the indigenous people have decided that it was a good time in the middle of a global pandemic to raise a stink over what happened 1 year ago this week with all the riots that we had, by creating more demonstrations that can turn into more riots again tomorrow. It's like planned. It was in the newspapers. So I'm a little nervous about it, but you know what? I'm going to order chicken from the neighbor for my lunch. And I'm going to play with my cat. I'm going to play music. I am going to finish a project, my Capstone 1 project in my TESOL certification. So it's about a 10-minute activity tomorrow, which will end this recent course. Every course, I have 8 courses to take, and they're all 6 weeks long. And I've been trying to get through as much of it as fast as possible, like 6 to 7 hours a day, Monday through Friday. I've been working on this because I need a job. And I'm just like, oh my God. Well, tomorrow I'm going to finish the capstone projects are it's like, oh, it's been a bitch, honestly. It's been really hard, really tough to get through it. So tomorrow I have 10 minutes and then I'm done. I just got to record a quick little video of me teaching to a room full of air because I don't have any students. I don't know why they're making us do this, but, it is what it is. You got to pretend people are there giving you answers. What do you say about this one? Oh, thanks, Charlie. Thank you, Abdul. Oh, thank you, Hector. I'm glad that you were able to answer that question for me. Oh, my God, it's going to be ridiculous, but whatever. We have to put together our teaching style and show the world how we do. Because when you have to hand in a portfolio of your work, including your teaching philosophy and your teaching style before you get a job teaching English, supposedly. So that's part of what I need to do. It's part of my portfolio. So that's okay. It's okay. So I'm going to do that. And then I have, after that, 3 more courses of 6 weeks each. So 18 weeks left out of the 48. So I have 30. So starting tomorrow morning, I'll have 30 weeks down. Holy man. But I know tomorrow that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish that. That's going to raise my vibration. I'm going to feel this wave of relief. I've applied for a job that I think I got. Fingers crossed. I'll talk about it once I'm officially given the instructions and the hiring. I don't know. It's not going to be a packet, but whatever. Once I get the instructions and everything, I'll let you guys know. But I might have to make the show a little shorter because I didn't quite make my goal of supporting myself with my passion yet. And I just got my final paycheck. So starting in November, I'm going to be working like 30 hours a week in addition to the show, which rounds my grand total up to 40 hours a week. And there you have it. And then plus, in addition to that, I will finally, now that my youngest son is an adult and he's taking responsibility for himself and his life on another level, this past few days have been incredible. Wow, he's been an adult for 3 days and he is really taking it upon himself to own that adulthood. He's no longer denying it. He's just like, I'm a responsible adult. He's like washing his laundry. He's actually folding his laundry. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's like, yes. So I will have more time to complete other projects such as books and classes and audio hypnosis CDs. Not CDs, but audio. If you guys want CDs, I do have a way. I have a distributor and I have a way I can do CDs that can arrive at your house. Please DM me at mermaidgirl888 in the event that interests you. If you have a CD player in your car, well, please don't ever drive and listen to my hypnosis. Don't ever. But if you want any kind of audio on a CD format, instead of you having to burn it yourself, I have a way for you guys to get that. So I wanted to let you know it can and will be available if you're interested. And if you let me know, then I'll make sure that's available to you. By the way, so I wanted to tell you really cool news from the 9th Dimensional Arcturian Council. This is from Daniel Scranton, and he does do the channeling where you get to hear the vibration, the frequency in his voice because they take over his body. This is the same beings that I channel, but I don't let them take over my body. And he also puts it in a email format, so you could just read what they said. If it irritates you to hear him, because he's channeling them, they have a very high-pitched voice, and so it's a little distracting for me, probably because of the low-level autism I have, but it's enough to irritate me in certain ways, so I can't handle listening to him, but I love him dearly. He's such a sweet person, and I've interacted with him on both YouTube as well as Instagram, and he's an incredible human being. And he channels the 9th Dimensional Arcturian Council. So check this out. The higher frequency energies we are sending by the 9th Dimensional Arcturian Council, as channeled again by Daniel Scranton. You could go to danielscranton.com or Daniel Scranton, SCRANTON, on YouTube. He's also on Instagram, I think just at Daniel Scranton, actually. So, greetings. We are the Arcturian Council, and we are pleased to connect with all of you. We are elevating the level of our consciousness in each and every moment as we prepare to shift our consciousness to the 10th dimension. That means the energies we send to you and that all of our cohorts in the 9th dimension send you are in a higher and higher frequency. As we all continue to move forward in this universal shift. So, want to bring that up to you guys again. We're moving into the 5th dimension. You know, they've always said 7th heaven, meaning heaven. The heaven that is above Earth is four dimensions above us. And, you know, each dimension has like 12 levels or layers to it, but we're not going to go into that right now. It's very confusing. But heaven itself is moving to the 8th dimension. So these 9th dimensional beings are moving to the 10th dimension. I don't know if they listen to music, but I know that they love our music. But this means the energies that we send you, they say. Oh, wait, they already said that. All right, sorry. So they're in a higher and higher frequency. And as we all continue to move forward in the universal shift in consciousness, we know that you can handle higher and higher frequency energies because we monitor all of you so closely. I don't know, does that seem a little creepy to you? I'm kind of comforted by it, but also creeped out by it at the same time. I think the 3rd dimensional thinking in my mind says, well, that's a little creepy. Stalker much? But then the 5th dimensional part of me says, that's so sweet. I'm glad they're sending us higher vibrations. They know we can handle it, and they are monitoring us. Interesting. Huh, cool. You know, so it's like, so I could see both parts of my mind kind of like, but the 3rd dimensional part of my mind is losing the battle, and the 5th dimensional part of my mind is like more embracing that love and that care from our big brothers and sisters in the Arcturian Council and from other places as well. But okay, let's read the rest of this. It's pretty short. Those of you who are awake and on the front lines of receiving what we and others like us are offering, because you are so open and receptive by nature, because you attune yourselves to us all the time, you are the perfect candidates to do that receiving and to anchor in those energies and make them available to the rest of humanity. You are doing a wonderful job, and the reason we always deliver to you so many hope-filled messages is because of those of you who are in the awakened collective, which gets bigger every single day. More and more people are having their own unique awakening experiences that are planned meticulously. That's a Virgo's favorite word right there. Woo! Meticulously by their higher selves, just as yours were. Your higher selves are meticulous in all that they deliver to you. And your guides are working around the clock to provide you with everything that you need to face whatever your higher selves put in front of you. And then we and all of the other beings in the higher dimensions just keep blasting you with higher frequency energies so that you have all of the raw materials to create the world you want to experience. Therefore, it must be easier to change the world than you all think it is. It's not just about voting the right people into office. It's not just about donating to the right causes. It's about you becoming more of who you really are, and all of what can be effortless if you allow it to be. And then all you do to spread love and light to others throughout the world and in your communities will be cherry on top, so to speak. The cherry on top, sorry, forgot the word "the" there. We love working with you on co-creating the beautiful, magical 5D Earth. We also love co-creating with you the special moments that you can have on your way so that you can enjoy your journey and help others do the same. You need more joy on this journey and more people who are dedicating themselves to living in their highest vibration. And we see your world populated with more of those people every day. And that's how you know you are going to make it. You are going to make the shift in consciousness and unite the galaxy along the way. We are the Arcturian Council, and we have enjoyed connecting with you. So hopefully Daniel Scranton won't mind me reading this email that was sent to me by him through by way of the Arcturian Council. I do channel them, and I have my own messages from them as well. And you guys, I think, heard them last week. And a lot of people who've heard it have contacted me saying, I really feel like I vibe with the Arcturian Council. It's really weird. I feel close to them for some reason, and they're pretty special. Like, their messages are very sweet. They're so filled with love and compassion and the highest vibration, and it's so cool. They are going into the 10th dimension right now. That's pretty crazy. I love that. I keep forgetting, and so I wanted to remind you guys about this. I mean, it's pretty incredible that everybody is moving up. We are all moving on up. I did pull earlier, well, not me, I should say, that my holy guardian angel is the angel we're using to pull the collective card of the day out of the decks. And so Prime Creator tells the angel which one to pull, and it just flies out of the deck while I'm shuffling. That's how I do it. It's the way I do it anyway. So, okay, Vintage Wisdom Oracle was the deck I was told to use, and the card that flew out was Thought. That was for the collective whole. And then what's hilarious is the card Playfulness flew out of the deck, and seconds later my cat comes screaming up the stairs, runs across my room, hops onto my bed and attacks my feet, and just starts attacking everything on my bed and jumping. She now jumps like 2 feet in the air. And she just started playing. I'm like, that's funny. It's like God warned me. The playfulness is on its way. I almost could have named her the Playfulness. Knowledge of Ravenspell. She is such a sweet little friend. I'm grateful every day that I have her in my life. Okay, but the card of the day for the collective was Thought. 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 A girl rests with her head slightly bowed, as if deep in thought. The quietude of the open courtyard, solitary chair, and the doves huddled up on top of the wall create an air of hushed contemplation. In tarot symbolism, 2 pillars represent the realm of opposites and a need for balance, diplomacy, and tact, both activities of the mind. Doves, on the other hand, represent ascension. Ooh, that gave me the chills. Woo! Ascension, aspiration, love, and peace. Offering potential for a higher perspective. Thought is a powerful spiritual vibration and can be used to generate atmospheres of healing or harmfulness, depending on the evolution of the thinker. I'm thinking depending on whether your mind is mentally in the 5th dimension or in the 3rd dimension still. The presence of this card highlights the importance of your thoughts. As they precede, they precede action and are the driving force behind how you experience life. If you have cause to reason, decide, discover, or resolve a situation, now is a favorable time. The quality of thoughts will always determine the wisdom of your choices. Be aware of the positive power of your thoughts and how they affect your current situation and others around you. When reasoning ends, use the calming, intuitive influence of meditation as a tool to soften any raw edges and restore balance. And by the way, going along with the theme of the day, that will also raise your vibration. Meditation always raises your vibration. All right, so we're going to go now to spaceweather.com. And the solar wind speed currently is 377.4 kilometers per second. There's a brand new sunspot growing kind of just a little bit to the right of center of the sun. It is sunspot number 2776. It's been growing for a couple days there. So that's it. We are on geomagnetic storm watch right now. They're expecting that there might be a chance of a minor G1 class geomagnetic storm tomorrow and the next day. There is going to be a high-speed stream of solar wind hitting Earth's magnetic field tomorrow. Be prepared, especially if you are sensitive like me to the higher frequency energies. We're also going to get some beautiful aurora borealises. You might want to check it out on YouTube if you don't live in the northern hemispheres. There's several channels. I think it's better if you go to one that shows aurora borealis that was not, if it's live, it's kind of like you'll get something and then a few seconds later it changes and it's not fluid. But if you get something that was recorded the day before, it's just so fluid, and the way that it moves, it's very magical. If you haven't done that already, you might want to check it out. But okay, so the gaseous material is flowing out of the sun from a northern hole in the sun's atmosphere. They're expecting bright auroras in Alaska, Canada, and all the countries of Scandinavia. Now, we talked about this yesterday, and there's no change in that. It's coming tomorrow and the next day, possibly today. We are getting a little bit of that today. In fact, I expected a double whammy. Earlier in the afternoon, probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, California time, Pacific Standard Time. Or no, are we in daylight savings? We are. We already did the fall back. I think we're in daylight savings time. Anyway, Pacific daylight savings time. I believe that it was between like around 1 and 4, maybe 1 and 3, maybe 1 and 4. I felt it hit already, and then it lifted. But I do expect another whammy tonight. So just be prepared. Just be prepared. You know, if you start feeling kind of spacey or out of it, you start not being able to feel your body, or you feel like your skin is super itchy, or you feel like, you know, you have pressure in your crown chakra, third eye, throat chakra. Maybe any of your chakras, though. I mean, it might be your solar plexus or your heart. Heart palpitations, tinnitus, especially with the tinnitus. Feeling like everything's fine, you feel great, and all of a sudden, I feel like I'm going to fall asleep. Like a big cosmic nap. Those are the things to watch out for. Tonight, as well as tomorrow and the next day. So there you go. If you hear this like a day or two later, you're going to go, oh my God, that totally happened to me. Well, that's because, here we go. My legs have been swollen all day, ascension symptoms, speaking of. My legs have been swollen with extra water weight, my muscles, and I've just felt very stiff in my joints, hard time walking. But overall, I feel very happy to be alive. I feel hopeful for my future. So even though my emotions are high vibrational, my body's like, did we need to get up for this? Can we go back to bed yet? What's happening right now? It's kind of where my body's at. But my emotions are like, woohoo! Yes! Yes energy. That's how I'm feeling. I feel happy, healthy, alive. I feel like everything's going to work out miraculously. I've been getting a lot of mental downloads of what I can do for not just money, not survival money, but like big time, big money. I'm getting massive downloads of what I can do to change my life, change the lives of my children, my adult children, and also how I can help others. And so I'm just like getting tons of downloads. I don't know if it's happening for you guys too, but if it is, it's part of this big time, part of this new energies coming in. There's some stuff about the moon on spaceweather.com you might be interested. They're saying that there's a cosmic bullseye 600 miles wide on the moon. They were able to photograph it. The Oriental Basin. I guess there's a lunar libration. What the hell is a libration? It's like a liberation from the library. It's like, oh, the library's closed. Oh, good. It's time for our libration. I'm just kidding. I don't know what that is. They say that normally this is a completely invisible landmark on the moon from Earth because it's on the extreme western edge of the moon, but apparently usually you have to be in lunar orbit to photograph it, which means no one ever gets that privilege except for the, 10, 11, 12 people on the space station. I honestly don't know how many people are on it. But apparently on the 11th of October, an amateur astronomer coming out of Ocala, Florida, Howard Eskildsen, was able to photograph it. So if you want to check out this picture, it's pretty cool. He photographed this from Florida, man. Jude told me one day, why is it always Florida, man? Everything's from Florida. Weird news, the UFO news, the weirdest, strangest stories of people. The biggest rednecks. Why is it always Florida, man? The bad news, the good news, the strange news, the bizarre news. It's always Florida. It seems like Florida is one of those places that's always in the news. But today it is good news. So go check out. I can't believe this guy got this awesome picture of the moon. All right, so cosmic rays, the radiation we normally get from the cosmos has gone down since yesterday by 0.3%. So that's good. So here it says again, the coronal holes in the sun, the solar wind flowing from this network of coronal holes, not just one, but several. It's going to hit Earth's magnetic field from today through the 25th of October. Remember, we're going through 6 days a day, 6 days, spiritual days per day. So, October is 6 months worth of spiritual growth. Last month, September, was 12 days per day. So we've calmed down a little bit, but we're still going pretty rapid. I feel amazing. I love this. This month has felt great to me. Today, over the United States, NASA's all-sky cameras and the all-sky fireball network reported 49 fireballs. 29 were sporadic, 18 were Orionids. Don't forget, the meteor shower is upon us. We're being showered with all kinds of love from the tail end of Halley's Comet. The Orionids have begun. One of them was a Southern Taurid and one was an Epsilon Geminid. So, wow, it's just a big, massive bunch of fireballs over the United States. I'm honestly shocked that we don't have more problems with that. There's been so many fireballs this year. It's crazy. All right. So, disclosurenews.it reported 15 hertz frequency for the Schumann Resonance. Not a whole lot to sneeze about or write home about. 15 hertz frequency is just merely double what normally it is. But we get over to heartmath.org and here's the news. But this is 2-day-old news. Well, day and a half. By the time you guys hear it, it might be 2 days old. California on Monday, October 19th at the 2300 hour. So just about on almost the 20th. Today's the 21st. So we're about a day and an hour or a couple hours. It's just a little bit over a day. It's less than a day and a half ago. Anyway, California was at 93 hertz frequency. Hopefully Saudi Arabia was at 0. Don't know why they haven't come up off the map, but I expect they will soon. Lithuania was 117 hertz frequency. And Alberta, Canada was 126 hertz frequency. Northland, New Zealand was just above the surface of the fifth dimension at 49 hertz frequency. And last but not least, Hululu, South Africa was at 123 hertz frequency. So out of the 7 cities that we are monitoring for the Schumann Resonance fluctuations, out of the 7 cities, only 2 of them were not in the fifth dimension, according to the criteria for that. So I think it's all just fluctuations, and I'm sure that everyone is in the fifth dimension, but it's weird to me, when I look at this, and it's like, well, all right. If 5 out of the 7, we're definitely in the fifth dimension. But everything's fluctuating, and I don't know why. We do have this big crack in the magnetosphere. It keeps cracking open, and the energy from the sun and whatnot flows on in. And then we all feel weird and strange, and somehow we're becoming more loving and compassionate and less judgmental and less dispassionate and less angry. And we're becoming more calm, more relaxed, and our vibrations keep going up, 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 up. With every cosmic radiation bit we're hit with every solar wind that flows our way, every time the upper atmosphere gets hit with plasma, every time we see more and more spaceships, the light ships from the Pleiadians around the planet. And they've been seen in Florida, they've been all over the United States, even Poland in the European Union. They've been seen all over the world. I'll go over that. I don't know when, maybe tomorrow or Friday. I'll do the UFO reports. We haven't done a coronavirus report, so I might do that for Friday as well. So think about how you're going to raise your vibration. What are you going to do in the next 24 to 48 hours or 72 hours, next 3 days? Maybe this weekend, what are you going to do? You going to meditate? You know what? Another way, I'm going to tell you before I take a quick break. Another way that I love to raise my vibration, guys, is watching comedy movies. Laughing my ass off. I've been watching Hot in Cleveland reruns on YouTube. And every now and again, I still gotta go watch clips of Bewitched. Sanford and Son, the old-timey TV shows that are hilarious. But also movies, there's some good comedy movies, and sometimes I watch kids' movies. There's such an innocence there in a lot of the animation, like DreamWorks and whatever. But sometimes that just makes me so happy. It makes me happy to see it. So, The Worst Witch, it's such an innocent and sweet and fun show and imaginative. So I don't know. I always love to watch things that raise my vibration. That's another way that I do it. I also listen to the binaural beats and the isochronic tones. You could add that to your toolkit. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break. And when I come back, I'm going to be doing some channeling for y'all right after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, guys, I'm going to channel the prime creator of all things, all people, all planets. For those of you just tuning in, and this is maybe your first episode, I wanted to mention real quickly that I am a psychic medium as well as telepath, which means I mind talk to whoever I'm channeling. So I am an indirect channel. Sometimes channelers are direct channels, meaning they will step away from their body and allow the entity or the being or the interdimensional to take over their physical body. And then they come back into their body. They don't really know what happened. I don't do that. I, for the most part, know what happened because I'm in charge of my body. But sometimes I go into a trance so deep that I don't quite remember what was said. I have to go back and listen and, oh yeah, that's right. So I use telepathy to get the messages across. And I've been spiritual my whole life. And I asked God to take over for me, take over my life, and allow me to be an instrument of His will and of His peace. And I asked this in 2007. It's called Taking on the Mantle, and I do not recommend it. It's not for everybody, because once you do something of this magnitude, everything in your life shifts and changes in ways you never could have predicted. And when it happened, when I said, hey, God, take over my life, I'm just going to bow to you and realize you are my creator, and whatever you want for me, I'm going to just go along with it and trust. I'm going to step aside and just let you take over my life, my body. I want to be connected to you from now on. And I've been connected to God since 2007 in a way in which I consciously am aware of His work in my life. And every day we have conversations many times throughout the day. I'm always praying. And so it's been like 13 years and a half, actually 13 and a half years already. So I don't know, when I turned my whole life over to God, what happened was I was struck by lightning the next day and went through my right half of my body, including my heart, went up through my brain. Sometimes I lose words since that happened. And the lightning left my body through, I guess if my feet were hands, it'd be my ring toe. Like the second one from the end. Lightning went out that way and my toenail fell off and there was a hole in my toe. Just like with the lightning victims, that's how I know I was hit by lightning. Threw me 8 feet across my kitchen, and anyone who's ever been struck by lightning is called a lightning shaman. And I've always been a Heyoka shaman, so now I'm a Heyoka lightning shaman. And since that experience of knocking out all my karma at once, which was terrifying as well as awesome, my life, my journey has been really, 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 really crazy, including 1 year later filing for divorce, 18 months of a very bitter, horrible divorce battle, custody battle mostly. After it was all over, my husband died 9 months later of brain cancer, which is why I had to file for divorce in the first place, even though I did not know he was sick. I just thought he hated me out of nowhere. Like, he started talking to other women, which he never did. He didn't cheat on me, but it seemed like that it was on its way. And he got violent and all kinds of crazy. He wasn't normally like that. Because for the first 11 and a half years of our life together, it was absolutely blissful and peaceful, and we were so in love. After 11 years, still holding hands, like we just met a week ago. And I don't know, this journey's been crazy. I mean, I have, since after he died, I got a temporary 10-year retirement. And so I just took my kids and we moved every few months to a new country, and we've lived in 6 different countries, including we had gone back to Detroit for a while. We had never been there before, just randomly moved there, bought a house. But throughout all of this, I have come into my own as a shaman and a channeler and a spiritual teacher. And a lot of things that have happened never would happen if I had not taken on the mantle in the first place. So be careful what you wish for. It just totally changed my life. I mean, in a way for the better, in a way for the more lonely path, but definitely the more spiritual path. So that is why I am doing what I am doing now. I have made 567 episodes, I think, of the show. At last count, I think that's about where I was at. And I've had 99,000 listens. That doesn't include my YouTube listeners. And hey, shout out to all my YouTube listeners. So, it is what it is. And this is what we're going to do tonight. God and I had a conversation earlier about, and if you don't believe this happens, there's actually a whole series of books called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, by the way. Highly recommend them. But anyway, God and I were talking earlier about some timeline and space-time continuum related stuff, and I think that's what this channeling is going to be about. So let me take a few deep breaths and we're going to get right on into the channeling now. And if you're new to the show, just, bear with me. You'll get the hang of it. Usually in the middle of the week, every week I do a channeling and, I kind of have a little format. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are always the days that are kind of up in the air. And usually I channel on Wednesdays for sure. And so... Okay. Prime Creator is the one being I'm constantly in contact with. I'm always connected with. At least on some levels, I and my Father are one. That's what Jesus used to say. And in my case, it's true as well. But not to the point, I'm not there to the extent at which Jesus was. He was able to allow God to fully realize through him, completely, like spiritually as well as physically, materially, which is why he's able to commit to bringing the loaves and the fishes and changing water into wine and walking on water. I'm trying to get to that level. I don't know if you guys are having that as one of your spiritual goals, but for sure it's one of mine. Not that I want to walk on water, but hey, you never know. Shit happens, things come up. So there would be kind of a neat little trick to be able to pull that one off. So anyway, water into wine for me, a little bit more my speed. All right. So all joking aside, here we go. Prime Creator, am I connected with you? Of course, muscle testing says yes, because I'm never not connected to the one true God. So, all right, there we go. You may begin transmission now. Hello and greetings. I am your Prime Creator. I am, as Elena said, the one true living God. I say living because there has been, over the years, some rumors and possibly tongue-in-cheek humor that says God is dead. I'm here to say, if I was dead, all of you would not even be here to debate whether or not I was here, because without my constantly thinking of each and every one of you, you would cease to be immediately. Tonight we're going to talk about time, the nature of reality, the nature of time, timelines, and what some of you have been experiencing as of late, as well as in the past several years. So, settle in. This is going to get quite deep, quite fast. Time is in some ways a man-made construct, and yet it is an anchoring point in your world so that you can understand the way in which things happen, the order in which things happen. If it wasn't for time, there would be no past and no future. In fact, there are places in your universe that have no time. There are no time anchors. Now, in your world, there are time anchors. Oh, is that really what you're showing me? That's a time anchor. So what God is showing me is like, I don't even know how to describe it exactly. It's like a long, tall, skinny kind of rock. And it's very magnetic, and it's plunging into the ground quite far. Almost like nails. But they're thick, like maybe 6 inches across, maybe 7. and they're like round. So, all right, that's just what I'm seeing, and they're kind of a clay colored, almost kind of like a mauvish, tannish color. Not very impressive looking, just real strange looking. But I see that they're like hidden, like God's showing me like one's in the middle of the desert, in a place where no one goes. Another one's like in a jungle, again, where no one has been. And like I see one in the forest. He's showing me not exactly where they are, but he's kind of showing me the landscapes. Oh, and in the ocean too. In the center of the ocean, possibly Mariana's Trench, but also near Hawaii. So he's just kind of showing me all the different places that time anchors exist on the planet. Alright, this is giving me a really weird feeling, because what if any one of these is removed? We're going to be totally flocked, man. Alright, God, so continue. After you showed me this, now he's showing me one in the Arctic Circle. I don't think we should be announcing where these things are, honestly. He says they're well hidden. And there's an invisible barrier around them and no one can see them. Even if they're standing right next to it, they won't know. And the magnetic anomalies and the magnetic field around such objects, or artifacts, if you will, the magnetic field is so strong that it confuses anyone who's near it, and they lose their sense of time, sense of reality, and sense of purpose as to why they're there and what they're looking for. So they'll never really find it because of that, and there's not a way to combat it. Alright, so how many of these time anchors or time pillars are on the earth? Really? 32. That's it. Alright, so we have our time and our time constructs because of 32 time anchors that are they really clay? No, they're rock. Okay, he's saying they're a highly evolved form of crystalline rock, but it's also kind of mixed with silicone. There's like a fusation. Now, where are these put here by you? He says, no, they are not. They were brought to your world by... Are you literally saying the archons to me right now? I heard this before. I don't know exactly what the archons are. But so they were put in place by the archons to create... He's saying the false illusion and false reality of time. Okay, now he's showing me there's like a way of... Imagine you have... He's showing me kind of a strange picture, but imagine you have an orange and there's nails stuck in this orange on 32 points of the orange. And then somebody comes along with a very, very strong magnet and they put it right next to the orange. And the nails start flying out of the orange and adhering to the magnet. But it's not all in a row. It's like this magnet on this side, then the magnet on the opposite side, and maybe one on the top side, and eventually one on the downside. It will be creating, imagine the orange now is a planet, and these are being they're being rendered defunct. And he's saying there's various causes for this. One of them is all the cosmic radiation, solar winds, plasma. We've been hit by magnetars as well as pulsars. And all of these things are having an effect on the magnetic force field that surrounds the planet. Okay, so are the time pillars or the time crystals have to do with the magnetic force field? Yes, absolutely. Is that what creates the magnetic force field? It is not, but it's what shapes them and puts them in a position of flowing the way that they're flowing. And this is given you for millennia. This has given you the way in which the perception of time has occurred and taken place. All right, so now what? A lot of these time pillars, because they are a specialized stone, they've been very durable, except in the recent last 200 to 400 centuries. Centuries? Yeah, okay. They have been losing their magnetic effectiveness. And as such, there have been a lot of time-related issues, if you will. There's been a lot of time-related problems and anomalies. So, even though time feels like a made-up construct, time exists constantly in all directions at any given moment. And if you were able to discern the higher truths, say from the 10th or the 12th dimension, you would laugh at the concept of time. You would laugh at all of it, because you would understand that everything is happening and occurring in every possible moment. Because you only see yourself as one point on the line. You don't understand that you are the line. You are everything. You are all the beings you've ever been. You are still. All the lives you've ever lived, you are living still. Everything is happening at once. And you've had moments where you feel like nothing is happening right now. But we're here to tell you that nothing is farther from the truth. So that's the first thing about time is there's these time anchors around the planet. So there's also interdimensional shifting down or shifting up, depending on who you are, who you've been, where you're going, where you're coming from, on all the possible levels that can be. So your perspective is unique, but so he's trying to show me something. This is huge concept to grasp. So this is very weird. Okay, so since he's showing me that time is where you're at right now in this moment in time, is a culmination of all of who you are and all you have been and all who you have not yet been and all of who you are not yet. All right. He says, so when you sit and you meditate, you contemplate, you start to pull in the now. And that now energy, it expands inside your chest like a white light that exists outside of time. And once you expand this white light in your chest, and it goes, you can expand it, and it goes out 10 to 12 feet in every possible direction, like a big ball around you. And you could kind of expand yourself. But in reality, what that is doing, if you meditate and you find a big white ball of light around you going out in every direction in 10 feet, what this is a very small area compared to your own soul. This is a very hard concept to grasp, and right now again, I just feel that we're being bombarded and hit by a lot more solar radiation at this moment. So he's showing me how our souls are huge, and even though we can meditate and expand our energy out, we're never going to match the outside edges of our own soul. And he's telling me that is impossible because our souls are so big. And our bodies can only generate so much energy to put out that kind of amplitude and high vibration, that kind of frequency to go out. Like what our bodies are capable of producing is quite great, but our souls are so much bigger than that, than what we could possibly use our mental capacity to grow, energetically speaking. And I don't know what does this have to do with time. Like the concept is blowing my mind, and at the same time it's like I'm almost like it's almost shutting down my brain because it's so big. The information is huge. Plus we're being hit by the radiation at the moment, so I'm like super sensitive to it. Like a half hour ago I was fine, and now it's like, woo, it's going to be a cosmic nap time any moment. So alright, God, you're going to have to either hop subjects or help me with this, because I'm getting it, but I don't know if I'm adequately expressing that which you're showing me. So take over, help me. Help me with this, okay? So what else? As you are in the process of expanding multidimensionality in multidimensional ways, or multidimensionality, as you're expanding in your own multidimensionality, that's what he's trying to say, you start to become aware of layers of yourself that you were not aware existed. And he's showing me, I'm trying to think of how I can put this. He's showing me like it's almost like a shelf with trays. I don't know, like a food. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like a stackable food dehydrator. It's almost kind of the image way he's showing me. And every list, I just heard from Jude. Hi, Jude. That was you. So every section of the multidimensional world, up and down, you know, like the layers or drawers. I had to go and mute the notifications from Instagram. So, okay, getting back to this. So if you imagine, he's showing me like a cube of space, and in that cube of space there are 12 shelves or drawers. And so you can live in the bottom drawer, or like we all have been most of our lives, we've been living in the third drawer from the bottom. And now we have decided to physically stay in the third drawer in the bottom while expanding our energy field upward to the fifth drawer. And then we're slowly but surely pulling our energy up from the 3rd drawer to the 5th drawer. But we're stretching ourselves. And that's kind of the way he's showing me. It's like, instead of saying the word stretching, it's like stretching. Like we're reaching high, up. Stretching, reaching, growing, while we're also learning and expanding. Stretching is expanding, but we're expanding our awareness, and we're going up. And as, okay, so he's going to talk now. Okay, so now you have that. As you are expanding up, you're expanding out, and we're not talking physically, although, bloating and physical anomalies during this process aside, you're expanding outward, energetically, forward into the future, backwards into the past, and over to the right and the left, which is the different timelines. And you've been given this concept of hopping timelines over to the left will give you a chance to go lower in vibration a little bit, where maybe the world is 2% worse. And every time you hop a timeline in that direction, it's 2% worse than that, then 2% worse than that. And when you hop a timeline over to the right, it's 2% better. One over from there is 2% better, and so on and so on. And these are seemingly infinite. And are they? No, they're finite. But there are thousands of them in either direction. So, whereas you've been maybe, for example, living on that 3rd shelf, in the dead center of that 3rd shelf, and your awareness was only just in an inch in every direction. Now it's like your expanded mind has moved out 1,000 miles in every direction. And that, my dear friends, my dear children, is why you have felt mentally foggy, unclear, mentally spacey, because you are literally expanding your mental and spiritual space. And you have not quite gotten your bearings as a multi-dimensional being quite yet, because you were limited and restricted so that you could understand what it's like to be limited and restricted without having knowledge of being limited and restricted, because this is what being a human being on earth in the 3rd dimension, this is what it's been. This has kind of been what the experiment itself, what the schematic has been about. When you're used to living in every possible direction at once, and in multiple universes at once, and living on many different shelves at once, and then all of a sudden you bring it down to one little tiny pinpoint. And then you add to that the concept of you don't know who you are anymore. All you know is good, but you get put in this position, and things can only get worse before they get better. So, and now he's showing me something strange, and I don't know if I'm just starting to hallucinate or what, but he's showing me like an old, like 1970s fondue pot with melted cheese in it. Like that was like all the rage. And he's showing me this, where they have wooden skewers and they're putting pieces of bread and crackers, and sometimes they're putting salami, they're putting pieces of bagels, just different things on these skewers. And they're dipping in the cheese and they're eating it and they're reveling in that. He said, imagine like no one had ever heard of that, and then all of a sudden that was all the rage. And the only way that people put cheese on bread before was just putting it on there cold, like as in a sandwich, and once in a while frying it up in a pan. But it's still like the concept of the sandwich, where it's bread, then cheese, then bread. And then all of a sudden, in the 70s, this idea for the fondue pot. Fondue. Even though this had been around in France, when this rage took all over the United States, the concept flipped everything around. Suddenly, the cheese was on the outside of the bread. And instead of eating a sandwich silently because you're eating, it became a very social thing. So everything was flipped inside out. Eating a grilled cheese sandwich is lunchtime, but eating fondue at dinner was a social event. And people would dress up for these fondue parties. And when they're done eating the melted cheese, then they would melt chocolate and dip things in the chocolate. And God's saying, I for one find this fabulous. But what does this have to do? And I looked, in 33 was it? And earlier 99, by the way. 33, 99, angel numbers for the day. So, this is, in a way, what's happening to you. You are, instead of having all your pressure on the inside, like the melted cheese in the middle, now you are melting into your surroundings, and all around you is the melty goo phase, or the cheese. He's like, they say not exact. He's saying it and he's like laughing, but he's like, not exactly. But you're like melting outward instead of melting inward. And you're like kind of expanding, and you're flipping everything around. So whereas you were stuck in one position, not knowing who you were, forgetting everything, and being extremely restricted, and saying you have a bunch of freedom, suddenly you have a bunch of freedom, but it's making you mentally spacey, and therefore you feel restricted. So it's like going from a cold cheese sandwich to a hot fondue. It's completely flipping everything around. And while a cold cheese sandwich is not that exciting, the fondue is terrific and very, very exciting. It's a totally different concept. And everybody has to work together in the fondue pot scenario, because everybody has to take turns. Everyone does this in unison, as a unit, in unity. And now that you're all expanding outward in every direction at once, which is giving you that spacey feeling, and all of you are in this together, and you're all realizing you are one, and it's making you more sociable on spiritual levels. Awesome. I like this fondue pot metaphor. It's nice. At first I thought maybe I was just having a dream, that I was falling asleep or something, but no, I get it now. So, whereas you were restricted before, you're now unrestricted. Where you had limited access, now you have unlimited access, but you don't know how to handle it. You don't even know where you want to go first. Or that you don't even know that you can go anywhere first. So now your physical body, everything is gained into this fifth dimensional space, but you're also becoming aware of like the 6th, 7th, 8th dimensions. You're becoming aware of everything at once. And everything's going to feel quite a bit foggy at first. Until the day you're going to wake up and everything is crystal clear. There are layers between time. There are layers upon layers upon layers. And you can expand those layers. But what about when you hop timelines? Can you expand those layers? He said, no, those are the ways in which you cannot expand layers. So when you hop up to the next available timeline over to the right, it's 2% better than where you're at. You can expand the space. It's like you're here in this timeline, and then all of a sudden you're there in that timeline. There's not an in-between phase. There's no weeks of being in a void. There's no whole days or hours spent trying to get over to that other timeline. It's instantaneous. It takes only a few seconds. And sometimes you don't even have a memory of where you just came from. You just suddenly feel like your life is a little bit better. Just a little bit. Whereas you might have been morose and sad, and you said a prayer because you're morose and sad. You might hop to a timeline in which you were mildly irritated and slightly mad. So everything gets a little bit better, like 2% better. Your emotions, your circumstances, your bright, sunny outlook on life will get 2% brighter and sunnier. And when you look out upon life, you will understand that everything is slightly better. Most of the time, though, you're not going to be consciously aware that you hopped a timeline. Most of the time, you're going to just think, wow, this is... He's saying this is kismet. You might be struggling, and then all of a sudden, you have a momentary lapse where you don't really know what just happened, but you have like maybe a few minutes missing time. Maybe 5 minutes at the most. But that doesn't make sense. 5 minutes missing time, what are you talking about? You just spaced out. You just zoned out 5 minutes. But to the uninitiated and the untrained eye, it looks like you're just zoning out for 5 minutes. So as you hop a timeline, you might feel like you just forgot what you're doing for 5 minutes. But then you realize things are a little bit better. That old pair of jeans that had a big hole in it maybe only has a small hole in it now. Your shoes might fit you a little bit better. They might be slightly newer. Everything is just 2% better. But the hopping of the timelines, or timeline hopping, it takes place always in less than an hour. But usually in less than a minute. Sometimes your physical body will anticipate the jump, especially if it's going up 2% to a rather significant timeline for you. It will feel tingly. You'll feel a little bit stretchy, like everything is being stretched out. Just for a couple seconds, then it's over. And you cannot ever really get hurt timeline jumping because it's so rare a topic from the way that we're discussing it now. Usually people will assume So I don't get this. What he just looked as 4244 and also 4242. Okay, Prime Creator. Again, I'm being bombarded by radiation over here. It's gotten pretty bad in the past minute or two. So he's showing like hair, something to do with hair. Okay, he's showing me that like women their hair might be 2 inches shorter when they hop a timeline. Or maybe your scrunchies aren't fitting correctly. Like it always fit your hair before, now suddenly it won't fit. There'll be minor things like that. They're slightly irritating and you don't know why exactly. And those are the things that you'll notice in a timeline hop. You might not be consciously aware that's happening, but you might be really cranky and then suddenly you're very happy and relaxed or very sleepy. And your moods and emotions can shift because it's literally a different timeline. Sometimes you hop down a timeline to revisit an old concept that you didn't quite get the first time. Or maybe you didn't catch the way someone said something and you accuse them of being mean or sarcastic. Well, sometimes you'll go down a timeline and realize that what they said was everything that you needed to hear, but the way they said it was because of something they went through before they had the conversation with you. So it's kind of important and even imperative to only consciously meditate or focus on hopping timelines to the right, because that is a surefire sense. I mean, every time you hop a new one, it's a surefire way to understand that you are improving and you're getting better spiritually and emotionally. Every time you improve yourself, you have a potential to hop a new timeline. I feel like there's something else. Like there's layers up and down. There's layers to the right and the left. And so he showed me the cover of the True and Invisible Rosicrucian Order. There are secrets of there, by Paul Foster Case. He just showed me that. Like, well, that's what we were doing yesterday, right? Talking about Paul Foster Case. But he just showed me that the cube of space, when it's unraveled, is a cross. And there's always been a hint in the cross that Jesus was hanging on, the cross itself. That shape is, even the Romans themselves did not understand what it meant, but the shape of it is very sacred and hints quite a bit to time travel. But if you take it a step further and you look at the Egyptian Ankh, A-N-K-H, the Egyptian Ankh is even better to explain time travel and the concept of time. And indeed, it was a symbol created to hint at time, but in the cross to a lesser extent, same thing. Okay, and so God's showing me like Jesus was hanging on the cross and there was a guy to the right and a guy to the left. And all of this is a metaphor. Like the guy to the right was in a different timeline than the guy to the left. The guy to the left was 2% worse. The guy to the right was 2% better than the timeline that Jesus was on, for example. And I don't know, he's like kind of showing me that on that day, even like the and there's nothing we could do to go back and look at this, but he's showing me the sky was weird, and it almost looked like there's a division in the sky from the right and the left of Jesus, almost like it moved a bunch of energy in a way in which it created new timelines. And there are things that you can do or say that will create a better timeline for you. Especially when you're under times of duress. If you take the high road, the higher vibrational energy, it'll be so much easier to hop a timeline consciously. So if you choose that better, you choose it consciously, you choose that high vibration, that thought, that energy pattern that was not serving you the minute you let it go, that's one way you can choose a higher timeline. So at first he wants to talk about the idea of the concept of the cross that Jesus was on. Don't think about him dying or any of that right now, or the criminals or all the events leading up to that. That's not what he wants you to talk about or think about. He's showing me just the cross itself and what happened. The Romans dug a hole into the ground to make the cross itself stable. And as they put that into the ground, it symbolizes the time anchors, even though that they didn't really know that. They were not consciously aware. And that symbol is very, very powerful because of the way it folds up into a cube of space shape. But when you unravel it and it goes into the cross shape, he's showing me the stuff, but I'm seeing it, but it's like super hard to explain. So basically, it going into the cross that went in that held Jesus, that started splitting off a bunch of timelines, because people were choosing consciously in that moment to the people who reveled in the misery and suffering went down to a lower timeline, and the people who were suffering and sad and outpouring of love and compassion went to a higher timeline. And when when the cross anchored into the ground, it kind of messed up the magnetic force field of the planet, because it had been 32 anchors, and that added the 33. Whoa, really? Shit, that's like really deep. 33 Masons, 33 is the number of the Christ. God just showed me that's why. But no one really knew that until now. So the 32 magnets, the magnetic time anchors, and then this one created another, like a 33rd time anchor as it hit a certain level into the earth, like several feet. And the Romans did not know what they were doing. And they anchored in the Christ energy, and the Christ energy became represented by 33. And there you go, there's another angel number for you right now. So it's very interesting. So that's the first concept of the actual cross, the original cross that Christ was on himself. And it only became a time anchor because of who he was, because he was the greatest avatar to live on the planet, and this plane is what God's showing me. So that's why his own person was so magnetic that's what created the time anchor. So now we're going to go to the concept of the Ankh, which is like a cross, but at the top there's a loop. All right, so show me what that is. So Normally, if you took a cross and you made it like you draw a cross on paper, and then you make it like into squares, and then you fold and you cut it out with the scissors, and you fold that up, it becomes a cube, which is the cube of space, right? And then if you took an Ankh and you kind of did the same thing, and you went to fold it up, the round part at the top would circle around the cube. And then now you have like a cube inside a circle. And that's a very sacred symbol as well. And so as he's showing me this, so think about this now, like the long part going up and down in the Ankh, it's like representative of all of the dimensions, all the time dimensions up and down, like first, second, third dimension, fourth, fifth, all the way to the 12th dimension. So then you have the arms going across. So the one to the left goes to the past, and the one to the right goes to the future, or the one to the left goes to the lower vibrational energy timelines, and the higher vibrational energy timelines go to the right. So now he's showing me like the loopy thing at the top. That is, there's a lot of things he's showing me right now. It's like a mirror. It's also a way out, literally like a loophole that you can hop through. It's like a portal. And it's exactly what happens when you hit the 5th dimension and become fully realized of your own multidimensional self. You don't have to be a spiritual master to master the Ankh energy. So it could be a portal to all the other dimensions. But you have to use this symbol as a meditative tool and contemplate it, think on it, and understand that it has a lot more to do with time. Think of it like a key, and you're going to have some of the key concepts. Just keep meditating on that. This is what I wish for you, my children, to understand at this time. Haha. And he's laughing. Ha, time. Yeah. These are very, very deep concepts, and I wish for you to think about this in the next week or upcoming weeks. When you show me this, there's like stripes around the loop, like black and white, black and white, black and white. And if you, there's something to do with that. I don't know what that is exactly. But he wants us to think about that. Come up with what that means. I know it has something to do with unity, but also unified field theory, and also I can't even begin to imagine all of it. I'm going to have to contemplate a lot of it. He says, well, I've given you a lot to think about. I love each and every one of you. I am your prime creator. And that's all for now. That's enough. That's a lot of deep concepts, but this is only the beginning of our conversation about time and the nature of reality. So now he's just kind of bowing to us and give us our peace and our space. He's giving love and compassion our way. And he's showing me like a pink dew-covered misty rose. And it looks like it has glitter on it. It's kind of very fancy. He says, this is my expanding heart rose. Those of you who know what I'm talking about, you see it in your mind, accept this into your heart, and you're going to get more information tonight about this. end transmission. Well, that's it, guys. Oh my gosh, that was like really deep. I hope it made sense. The fondue thing was, at first it threw me for a loop, but it's like super deep. I love the metaphors. It's crazy. I love that that's how I receive information, is metaphors. All of their channelers get, sentences. I get metaphors and pictures and layers and a bunch of stuff thrown at me at once. I don't know what other channelers get, but, well, there it is. There you have it. I wanted to thank you guys for listening and for having faith and confidence in myself and my abilities and the show. Thank you for liking, forwarding, sharing. That's not right. Sharing. There you go. Subscribing and everything. I'm grateful for each and every one of you, and I love you. I'm happy we're on the journey together. And I will be back tomorrow with all unique and original programming, just like always. And for those of you who've been asking about donating, any amount is, of course, always sacred and honored and respected and appreciated. And also, metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com is my PayPal. Well, all right, that's it for now. I will be back tomorrow with, I just said that. So I'm like spacey from this. It's a good one. Anyway, that's it. I'm signing off. I'm going to go take a nap because it's a cosmic nap time. I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension and beyond. So I'm wishing you all good night, love, and peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.